Who are some players that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could add to help them throughout the second half of the 2025 season? Well, let's talk about it. Shout out Sleeper, by the way, more on them a little bit later on in this video. Folks, I've got the top five players I think the Buccaneers should look to add to help them throughout their 2025 season, the second half, and possibly going into the playoffs as well. Will they add these players? Probably not, but a man can dream. And I'm always going to be going ahead and hitting the table for the Bucs to add more talent to this roster. Now, I do want to give an honorable mention in Asante Samuel Jr. He is a guy at 26 years old that would be a great addition to any cornerback room. He's got 6 visits coming up. I think he's got 2 with NFC South rivals in the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. I don't believe he has a visit planned with the Saints right now, so he's a hot commodity. He is a guy that is probably not going to end up in Tampa Bay. In fact, I'd say he's the least likely to end up in Tampa Bay. Well, maybe not the least likely. It's not really likely in my opinion, but you see the good grades here. He's overall pretty solid overall coverage cornerback, especially in 2022 and 2023. Took a dip in 2024, but he did get hurt that year, so it is what it is. But he is my honorable mention. My number 5 player that I think the Buccaneers should take a look at adding is Boogie Basham, who has been on and off the Carolina Panthers this year, from practice squad to active roster to stuff like that. And I had to do a lot of work in terms of digging into the pass rushers that are available right now, because it is a pretty thin group, all things considered. I almost threw Carl Lawson in here at the number 5 spot, but I went with Boogie Basham because he actually grades pretty darn well this year in terms of PFF grades and whatnot. I mean, you look, that's all green, baby. That is all green during his time with the New York Giants in 2024. In 2025, we take a look and it's still pretty green. I mean, Boogie Basham's still doing some interesting work over here in Carolina. That Week 8 game against the Bills was not very good, but you take a look at the overall numbers here, and it's all very solid. Like, it seems like Boogie Basham's is at minimum a competent rotational guy, right? Certainly comparable to like an Anthony Nelson, and would probably give you more than what the Bucs are getting from Chris Braswell right now. And he gives you a lot of versatility, some veteran presence in there as well, can play some special teams also if he needs to. So yeah, if the Bucs were looking to bring in more of a veteran presence, they won't. Boogie Basham would be that guy that I would say, hey, go ahead and give that guy a call and see if he is available. Now, the 4th guy on my list is actually somebody that the Bucs fans should be familiar with. It is Anthony Walker Jr., who was on the Buccaneers roster throughout training camp in the preseason and whatnot. Was a pretty surprise release, right? But he ended up on the Indianapolis Colts practice squad. He's been there ever since. Hasn't played this year, but remember, whenever he was released, it came out that he was fully healthy and ready to go. If the Bucs do want to bring in some more veteran presence at inside linebacker, they won't. Anthony Walker Jr. could be that guy, right? I mean, he was here, he was doing well before training camp and stuff like that. Bulls gave him and Deion Jones a lot of praise. So again, like, it seems like the coaching staff very much likes him. If Walker Jr. was here, would he be the 3rd linebacker, rotating in with Servassier Dennis and a little bit of Deion Jones in there as well? Probably. So don't know why the Bucs haven't made this call, but they don't, and they probably won't. So Anthony Walker Jr. checks in at number 3. The next player that I have on my list is a bit of a hybrid guy, linebacker safety hybrid. It is Isaiah Simmons. Now, Isaiah Simmons is a former 1st-round pick, number 8 overall selection in the 2020 NFL draft, okay? And if you guys need to see how fast this young man is, go no further than this. His 40 time was a 4.39 40-yard dash, everybody. A 4.39 40-yard dash. If the Buccaneers were looking for some more speed at inside linebacker, they aren't. Isaiah Simmons would be this guy that they should bring in, okay? I mean, 6'4", 238. Again, it is a safety, linebacker, hybrid type of thing. He's had a couple of workouts throughout this year. And I know you guys are going to see like the tackling in the run defense and stuff like that and be like, I don't know about this one, James. But the big thing to me is the coverage grade. Right? The Bucs need somebody to help out in coverage. They need somebody to be a foil to SirVocea Dennis and to Deion Jones, who are more run-stuffing linebackers. Isaiah Simmons would be a perfect complement, in my opinion. And again, he's only 27 years old, just turned 27 years old. So he's a guy where it's like, hey, if you bring him in, even on the practice squad, and it goes well, you could have him here for a couple of years, and that would be completely fine, in my opinion. Him and SirVocea Dennis, even if like you want to say Isaiah Simmons is like the third linebacker, and you want to bring in a different number one linebacker, cool. But Simmons can help you. He can help you by offering a very specific thing that you need in this linebacker room right now. So Isaiah Simmons is number 3 on my list. Number 2 is a guy that I have talked about a lot. It should be no surprise. It is Jawan Bentley, who most recently spent time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, former 5th round pick of the New England Patriots in 2018, 29 years old, and he didn't get any playing time for the Patriots, but look, you just see the overall grades besides that 2024 season in New England where he got hurt, and he's a solid, capable starting linebacker, okay? I think that he is a better version of Deion Jones, where it's like, hey, bring in a veteran. Jawan Bentley, I feel like, is a better option here, right? In terms of tackling, run defense, the coverage is a little bit better, in my opinion. He's a capable coverage guy, all things considered. Jawan Bentley is a guy that you could bring in, and it's like, hey, if he picks up the playbook quickly, is he going to be your linebacker too next to Levante David? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly possible. I know some people will probably point to the 40-yard dash, 4.75. It's just a little bit slower than SirVocea Dennis. So, it doesn't give the Bucs that speed element, but it does give them starting linebacker capability elements in there as well. So Jawan Bentley is number 2 on my list. I've been pounding, the walls in the desk to say, please bring in Jawan Bentley. They won't, but I want them to. Finally, this one right here, and I know some people are going to be like, oh, I don't know, James, I don't know. Christian Wilkins is my number 1 option. 6'4", 310 pounds, former 13th overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, 29 years old, will be 30 years old by the end of this upcoming season. Look, there are 2 reasons why people don't want to bring in Christian Wilkins, okay? Number 1 is people think he's weird, okay, and he is a concern off the field, when ultimately we've only had one off the field incident that came up, and that wasn't even the reason the Raiders fired him fully, or released him, I should say. The bigger reason as to why Christian Wilkins was released was because he had a disagreement with the Raiders as to the situation regarding his foot injury. He had fractured his foot. The Raiders said, get a second surgery on this. Christian Wilkins said, nah, I'm good. I want to get some different opinions. And then he got released for that reason. At least that's what was reported, okay? If Christian Wilkins is healthy at this point, bring him in. And we're seeing conversations of other teams like Jacksonville or Buffalo to say like, hey, go bring in Christian Wilkins. And those are teams that are obviously in the playoff hunt, trying to compete for a Super Bowl and whatnot. I 100% believe the Bucs should bring him in, especially without the presence of Kalijah Kancey. I mean, what are we looking at here? The pass rush grade is solid. The run defense is very solid tier. The defensive grades overall are great tiers. The tackling, not great. Not great, all things considered. But again, in that 2024 season in Las Vegas, he did end up with that injury. He was better tackling in years past. I would bring in Christian Wilkins in a heartbeat if he was healthy. Even if you want to have him on the practice squad to start, and that's like until he gets like fully healthy, or until he's not a problem in the locker room, which again, I think that stuff's so overblown. I would sign him to the active roster if he was fully healthy. I really would. He could come in, pick up the playbook, probably start for you on that defensive line within a week or two. It would be a great benefit next to Vita Vea, with Logan Hall in there. Even if you want to, rotate Elijah Robertson with Logan Hall, dude, Christian Wilkins would be that guy. He's the number one player I think the Buccaneers should add. I do not buy in to the people worried about the off the field stuff, whatever it is. Him being a weird guy, basically. I don't, buy into any of that. If he is healthy, bring him in, because at the end of the day, you're trying to win football games. Christian Wilkins, he'd help you win some football games, in my opinion. Remember, this is the same team that signed Antonio Brown, so if the Bucs think that they can bring in somebody to help them win some football games, they're going to do it. Real quick, guys, before we go ahead and end off, though, I do want to say shout out to Sleeper, the proud sponsor of this channel. If you guys do use the code MrBucs, you will get a 100% match up to $100. That is, again, whenever you use the code MrBucs. As you guys can see over here, I've made some picks of my own. It's just as easy as hitting a couple of buttons. Also, whenever you guys do sign up, you get 20 bucks for free. Simple as that. So, guys, go check out Sleeper today. Enjoy football the way it was meant to be. That is together. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. As always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.